Help is now being offered to ensure the survival of small grassroots conservation organizations whose finances have been impacted by the pandemic. To help them avoid layoffs, cutbacks, or ceasing operations completely, the Mohammed bin Zayed Species Conservation Fund is offering relief grants of up to $25,000 that can be used to cover core operating expenses such as staff salaries, office rent, and other essential overhead costs. The decision comes after the fund carried out a survey in April of more than 300 of its grantees, which showed that 80 or 68% had been negatively impacted and 22% planned to cut jobs. Razan Al-Mubarak, the founding managing director of the fund, said it's clear that conservation organizations cannot protect threatened species if they cannot meet basic needs like staff, salaries, and rent. The fund has always been dedicated to keeping conservationists in the field. Allowing conservationists to lose their jobs or their organizations' collapse would be detrimental to fulfilling our long-term mission. Well, Nicholas Hurd manages the fund and he joins me now. Nicholas, first of all, thank you very much for joining me. Now,
thank you, Yunus. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, were you surprised by the results of your survey and how close are some organizations to breaking point?
Yes, we were surprised. Our survey, as you say, was conducted in April to 300 grant recipients worldwide. 2/3 of those said that their organizations were experiencing financial difficulty as a result of the COVID-19 impact. A lot of those are, in fact, at breaking point. We found that some of those organizations most impacted were those that relied on ecotourism or travel in one form or another.
Now, tell me, which species are most at risk if these grassroots organizations are forced to lay off staff or completely, let's say, close down?
Well, again, we found that those species where the conservation organization relies on ecotourism are particularly at risk. So example of those would be, for example, gorilla watching in Rwanda, or also another organization we provided grants to in Bolivia who conduct conservation of blue-throated macaws, a type of parrot, and this is based on birding tourism, particularly from North America. These types of organizations have had their revenues cut off because people are no longer able to travel. And we found that ecotourism organizations were those most impacted.
Now, do you know how many organizations are set to benefit from your easing of the restrictions?
Well, we will see how many people apply to us in the next few months. But by way of indication, since inception in 2009, the Mohammed bin Zayed Species Conservation Fund has supported over 2,000 projects in 180 countries across the world, and this averages at around 200 grants a year. Our next two grant rounds, so until April 2021, will entirely go to support this program. So we hope that it will be well over 100 grants at least, and well over 100 organizations.
That sounds great. Now, how important is it that other foundations follow your examples? And how many foundations are you hoping to follow your footsteps?
Well, we very much believe that without conservationists being in the field, species face even more threats than usual. And because we feel that the conservationists are the first line of defense against extinction. What we found from our survey is that these are the people in the organizations who currently are really at threat. And so we think it's very, very important that other donors also see this threat to conservation as a discipline almost, and so are able to step up and to adapt their own grant-giving mechanisms, certainly for the next year or so, as we see how this pandemic plays out in the future as relates to species conservation worldwide.
Well, I wish you all the best. Nicholas Hurd, thank you for joining me once again. Thank you.